Stores, remodeling of other stores, and all this makes Berkeley Mall the place to shop for all your back-to-school needs. Plus, register now at Center Court to compete in the WGBR Berkeley Mall Spelling Contest at Berkeley Mall on September 16th. Grades 5 through 12. You could win hundreds of dollars in prizes. Rediscover Berkeley Mall, one block off the 70 bypass on Berkeley Boulevard in Goldsboro. That's all I need. A ticket. What? Officer, you want to know where I got my WGBR Rush plates? Sure. You can get yours at Spence Insurance, 1507 East Ash Street in Goldsboro, Pope's Southern Cafe at the Best Western in Goldsboro, or J.T. Crawford Insurance, 2419 East Ash Street in Goldsboro. Yeah, sure. You're welcome. Whew. Thank goodness for those WGBR Rush plates. Get yours today.
The season opener for the Tar Heels is Saturday night at 6:45. They take on Syracuse at Chapel Hill. Join Woody Durham and Mick Mixon for the exciting play-by-play. Carolina football is brought to you by the Intimate Bookshop, Barnes, Braswell, and Haithcock, PA, American Express Financial Services, Waco Ham Company, and Rayford Discount Drugs. The Tar Heels at Syracuse, Saturday night, 6:45 on 1150 WGBR.
We're back on the EIB network on the Rush Limbaugh program. It's not Rush Limbaugh. It's Michael Nedved sitting in for Rush, who is enjoying his vacation. And we're back with Pat in California. Pat, you're on EIB.
Good morning, Michael. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you very much.
Well, first, I'm a social and economic conservative and a registered Republican second. I will not support a third-party effort in 96 as I did in 92. I believe that in 92 it served its purpose, that it showed that at least 20 million voters expressed their dissatisfaction with both major parties. I believe it may have helped to result in the contract with America, and regardless to what the mass media would have you believe and purport to be the truth, we did know what we were voting for when we voted for the contract with America.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
I believe that the third-party candidacy is totally media-driven. I do not believe in their polls. And if there is a third-party candidate, I hope it's Jesse Jackson.
Well, I think you may get your wish. I think that what you're saying about it being media-driven is a very good point. And I have to disagree just a little bit with Rush, because I know he feels that part of this is the recognition on the part of the media, which clearly leans to the Democratic Party, that the only way of saving the Democrats in 1996 is with a third party. I think it's different from that. The media loves a weird story. They love anything that's bizarre. And the idea of, a Bill Bradley, Colin Powell, third-party candidates, that's newsy. It's strange. It's bizarre. It's fascinating. It's something different. And it's that sort of yearning for novelty, I think, that is helping to drive this entire thing as much as anything. But it's also, and I got to get back to this, it's this absence that people feel on the Republican side of a compelling, optimistic, positive personality. Now, one of the secrets of Rush's success, frankly, I think over the years, has been that this is somebody who looks out across the fruited plain and sees a great country, a country that is great, could be greater, could be improved, but there's this sense of optimism, somebody with a joy of living. In Jewish tradition, in the Talmud actually, we are commanded every morning, the first thing it says, wake up every day, wake up like a lion, for the service of the Lord. And whether you're serving the Lord or you're just serving your ideals, that idea of having a leonine, an eager, an enthusiastic approach, I think is crucial. It's going to be crucial for Republican success. It's going to be crucial for the country, and I think it's going to be crucial for the rest of our time together on the Rush Limbaugh program here on EIB with Michael Nedved sitting in for Rush on vacation. We look forward to your calls and more conversation after this.
Now, Felicia Rashad for the Environmental Protection Agency and National Safety Council. Even children who seem perfectly healthy may have lead poisoning. Have your child tested. And to find out how you can help protect your child, call 1-800-532-3394.
Hear what everybody's talking about on 1150 WGBR.
With half his brain tied behind his back and the most listened to radio program in Wayne County, it's Rush Limbaugh on 1150 WGBR, Goldsboro's very own.
If you're applying for a new driver's license or renewing an old one, you'll need to give the Division of Motor Vehicles your Social Security number. But don't worry. According to the law, DMV cannot release your Social Security number except when administering driver license laws. So remember, to get a new or renewed driver's license, you'll need your Social Security number. It's confidential, and it's the law. Together, we can make North Carolina's roads safer.
Hear what everybody's talking about. 1150 WGBR Goldsboro.
NBC Radio News. NATO took a break this morning from smothering airstrikes it launched against Bosnian Serb targets. Why? NATO officials say they want to give Bosnian Serbs a breather to think about peace. Assistant Secretary of State Richard Holbrooke in Zagreb, Croatia, says he has no trouble talking peace while NATO warplanes conduct their mission.
The military actions that were taken were entirely justified by the circumstances that caused them. Our peace initiative goes forward. We announced at the beginning that the initiative would go forward. I think the facts speak for themselves on that score.
There are late reports of some NATO air actions resuming near the city of Halle. The Justice Department confirms it will review a request for an investigation into alleged incidents involving the LA police described by former Detective Mark Furman on tapes for a North Carolina screenwriter. Judge Ito still hasn't ruled whether they're admissible in the O.J. Simpson trial. I'm Barbara Porter.
If you have an older car, chances are it wouldn't be caught dead wearing fuzzy dice. But its good taste isn't the only thing that's developed over time. Deposits may have formed in its engine. If so, it's time to try new Chevron Supreme with the Techron cleansing additive, because no premium works better to help your older car recapture its past performance. For a tankful, it might even reconsider those fuzzy dice. New Chevron Supreme with Techron. Chevron, simply smarter.
Hey, how can I convince you to try Natural White toothpaste? Like your toothpaste, Natural White helps prevent cavities and control plaque, but it does more. It's a whitening toothpaste. For about the same price as your regular toothpaste, Natural White helps whiten and brighten your teeth like nothing else. Try it. If you don't see the difference, money back. Natural White for a beautiful white smile. It's a premium whitener at a regular toothpaste price. Natural White at drugstores, supermarkets, and wherever toothpaste is sold.
Security is tight at the offices of the New England Journal of Medicine following an article about a new combination of drugs that induces abortion. Extra police were ordered after Operation Rescue founder Randall Terry sent a fax to the Journal criticizing the publication of the article.
It's chemical warfare against children. While we're striving to do away with chemical warfare in war and in the Middle East, we're going to use it on our own kids. This is genocide.
The article details how two drugs, one for ulcers and another for cancer, combine to be just as effective as the French abortion pill. A federal judge has struck down portions of South Dakota's abortion law, saying the state can't enforce the parental notification for minors seeking the procedure. The long-delayed mission of the shuttle Endeavour has been put off yet again, but not because of bad weather. Correspondent Joe Walsh explains it was a fuel cell that scuttled today's liftoff.
The problem may eventually be traced to a valve operated by beeswax. That's right, beeswax. The beeswax expands and contracts depending on the temperature of the fuel cell. When the wax expands due to rising temperatures, it pushes a plunger out, moving a valve that controls the flow of coolant. NASA's Pat Simpkins was asked why beeswax.
It has the thermal properties that they were looking for to build into this valve.
So now NASA has a sticky problem on its hands, trying to learn if beeswax goes bad or dries out the rubber membrane separating the wax from the plunger, which operates the valve. Joe Walsh, the Kennedy Space Center.
The Commerce Department tells us factory orders were down in July for the fifth month out of 6. Orders for durable goods dropped 1.3%, the decline a lot steeper than analysts had first predicted. The nation's retailers had a ho-hum August as many consumers put off that back-to-school shopping. Warm weather killed off the demand for fall clothing. Retailers also saw an erosion in sales of home items. On Wall Street, the Dow up 4 to 4608. With NBC Radio News, I'm Barbara Porter.
What would I do if I had more energy? I think I'd get out and rollerblade.
I'd get into the office earlier.
I'd run around the block.
Jinsana's on the street asking, what would you do with more energy?
I'd probably get another job.
Have you ever heard of Jinsana?
Jinsana.
It's an all-natural supplement proven to help build energy and endurance.
My mother takes it. She works hard, so she needs it.
The key word here is natural.
Energizing supplement, huh?
Jinsana is premium ginseng in a capsule, and it helps your body utilize oxygen better.
You need oxygen. Something that would give me more energy without caffeine or sugar, I think would be tremendous.
Did you know that Jinsana helps your cardiovascular system work more efficiently?
Anything good for the cardiovascular has got to be exciting.
If you want more energy, try Jinsana for a few weeks and watch your energy level increase. Feel the difference or your money back guaranteed.
A money-back guarantee?
If I had a lot of energy, I know exactly what I'd do.
Go jogging.
Play basketball longer with my kids.
I'd play some Cajun Bach.
For valuable information, call 800-777-2000. 800-777-2000. Jinsana. More energy for life.
If this could get me moving, I'd do it.
Hello? Anyone?
Did you fall in this hole?
Yeah, I can't get out.
Want me to pull you out?
That'd be great.
Okay.
Is that an accent I hear?
No.
Good, because I don't want anyone foreign to pull me out.
Oh, okay. Take a hold.
You're not Jewish or Catholic or any other strange religion, are you?
No, just grab on.
You're wearing a ring. Are you gay or a woman or something?
Listen, do you want my help?
Nah, I'll stay down here in my hole till someone exactly like me comes along.
Fine.
Hello? Anyone? Hello?
The Leadership Conference Education Fund and the Advertising Council remind you that our strength, our progress depend on our diversity.
It's going to be a hot, muggy afternoon across the area with partly cloudy skies, high temperatures in the upper 80s and lower 90s. For tonight, partly cloudy skies much of the night. We could see some fog forming, though, toward daybreak on Friday, lows 69 to 73. Then for tomorrow, hot and muggy once again with partial sunshine. However, there will be a few showers and thunderstorms around during the afternoon and evening. Highs 88 to 93. I'm Brian Orzel in the Weather Center.
On PBS as the co-host of Sneak Previews. If you're lucky, you've read at least one of his books. And now, if you're really lucky, you can talk to him live as he sits in for the vacationing Rush Limbaugh. Ladies and gentlemen, the EIB Network is pleased to present Michael Nedved.
Thank you, Johnny Donovan, and what an honor it is for me to be here on the EIB Network. I've often thought that people say to me all the time, boy, you have a wonderful job. You're a film critic. One of the very few jobs in America that I think could be more fun than mine is Rush Limbaugh's job, partially because when I go to see a screening and I have to review a movie, it doesn't matter how boring or awful or wretched it is. I have to sit down there with my rear end planted in that seat until it's over. Otherwise, I'm not doing my job as a critic. If Rush gets a caller or a guest who ends up being that boring or ridiculous or absurd, then you just cut it off. They are ruthless in there. Both Snerdley and Mamone, they take care of it, and you can forget about it. Remember, they used to do caller abortions, but I guess now there's a more pro-life attitude regarding the callers because they don't get aborted as frequently. But I like getting into trouble. I mean, obviously, anybody who writes a book called Hollywood versus America, and more recently does a video called Hollywood versus Religion, has a penchant for getting into trouble, and so we're about to do some of that right now. For 10 years, it's been my privilege to co-host with my partner Jeffrey Lyons a show on PBS called Sneak Previews, the original movie review show. It started, 17 years ago, which is in television terms when the earth cooled. Started with two very obscure critics at the time named Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel, who then left the show for commercial television, and then Jeffrey has been on the show for 12 years. I've been on the show for 10 years with Jeffrey, and we have a pretty good time reviewing movies, trying to bring a different perspective to it on public television. But that puts me in an uncomfortable position when public TV, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, becomes such a big controversial issue as it has become recently. And I am now ready to jeopardize my entire future and my family's future, because our show is supposed to come back next season, by talking, well, just among friends here on the EIB network across the fruited plain, about PBS. And who better to do that with than Michael Pack. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Michael. Michael is perhaps the lone conservative producer on public television. You may have seen his outstanding show, Campus Culture Wars, 5 Tales of PC, political correctness, not personal computers, or his previous show, Hollywood's Favorite Heavy, Businessmen on Primetime TV. Michael is an intellectual and a TV producer, a contradiction in terms, and he certainly does one of the rare jobs on public television of trying to present an alternative to the mainstream People's Broadcasting Service point of view. And he's doing that again, coming up on September 13th with an outstanding show that I've seen in advance. I'm a critic, I get to see things in advance. And it's called Inside the Republican Revolution. And Michael, that's airing September 13th at 9 p.m.?
Yeah, that's right. It's airing nationally on 9 p.m. On public television. But as you know, public television stations are free to shift it around the dial. So,
well, that, of course, is one of the problems with the system. I mean, that they do that so insanely. They do that to sneak previews. They've done that to your previous shows. You know, my partner, Jeffrey, had a very good line on this. Do you remember when Salman Rushdie had the fatwa declared against him by the Ayatollah Khomeini, and he was condemned to death and he had to hide out? Jeffrey suggested that people should give him his own show on PBS, and then no one would know where to find him.
Well, that is a great line. Among its various problems, public television does not actually act like a network, and anyone who works for one of the other networks who has anything briefly to do with PBS realizes it isn't truly a network. And
well, it's a different corporate culture, obviously, to say the least. And that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about, is inside the Republican Revolution, with a fairly, I thought, objective, most people would maybe even say positive view of Newt Gingrich and company changing the country and some of the historic changes going on. And I think that one of the wonderful things about your documentary is it really generates some of the sense of excitement of that first 100 days. How did that end up on public TV? It's not exactly the kind of show you expect from PBS.
Well, that's true. As you pointed out, I'm one of the few conservative producers around, and we had Don Lambro, my host, and I had a project that we had been pitching for some time to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and that was a series that would examine the broad question of what should the role of the federal government be, and in particular, how does it now deal with its budget and spending?
Mm-hmm.
And that was already in the works when the election of '94 happened, and people at CPB said, well, these people, Newt Gingrich and company, seem to be taking up all your issues. Maybe, you know, your show isn't needed. And we said, well, maybe we should...
Michael, now hold on just one moment. Would you think it's just possible that their willingness to put this show on suddenly after the election of 1994 might have something to do with the fact that they would now be applying to Newt Gingrich and company for funding?
You know, I think it might have to be. They didn't say that explicitly. I mean, I will say this. I consider it a very legitimate response on part of PBS and CPB. They need more balance, and if the election can make them realize it, I consider that one of its numerous positive effects.
And talking about the show, Inside the Republican Revolution, is it a revolution, or is it just a lot of flim-flam public relations, as some cynics would have us believe?
Well, I would say it's a revolution in progress. I mean, I don't think the 100 days themselves were the beginning and end of a revolution, but it certainly was the beginning, if not the end. And if Newt Gingrich and his allies can stick with their original vision and drastically shrink the size of the federal government and reform welfare and reform the tax code.
Lower taxes.
And especially for families, I think we'll see, in fact, a revolution. So I think that question is still up in the air. I'm very optimistic. I was very encouraged being on the Hill in those 100 days. It was an exciting time. These people were filled with the sense of the importance of what they were doing. And I think if they can recapture that, some of which I think has kind of naturally faded away after the 100 days, if they can bring that back and attack the even bigger issues of the fall, the budget deficit, particularly things like Medicare, if they can come back and get back to their original fervor, I think that over time it will have been a revolutionary change.
What are the biggest counter-revolutionary forces that you document in your show or that you think are operating on the Hill right now?
Well, I think, this may be obvious, but I think the biggest counter-revolutionary force is simply the need of congressmen to keep their constituents happy. One thing we photographed was a meeting of the Appalachian Regional Commission, or rather a reception for congressmen. And
yes, with banjos playing.
What?
With banjos playing.
With banjos playing. Actually, I think they had a great banjo music, to their credit.
Yeah, the lyrics were the problem, wasn't the music.
Yeah, right. Goodbye, Boll Weevil. I was thinking they might be referring to Boll Weevil Democrats, but you don't know. But I think it's organizations like that have mastered the art of expanding. I think now Appalachia goes into something like 11 states, and that's a vast number of congressmen and senators.
Yes, soon we're going to expand Appalachia to 30 states because it's such a good, right? I mean, some of this is...
Why not Alaska?
Right. Some of this is just absolutely mad. When you look at the expenditures for the Rural Electrification Project, which was established in the New Deal to guarantee everybody electricity in their homes. Now, most Americans don't have this as a major priority problem at the moment. And yet, do you know what the expenditure is? It's, I believe, hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions, still.
That's right. There is no program that will admit its time is over, even if it is set up in the enabling legislation as a limited, time-bound program. And the ARC likes to say now they're not in the poverty business, they're in the economic development
ARC
business.
Being the Appalachian Regional Council.
That's right.
Yeah.
Commission,
thank you.
And I think that is a huge, what you might call counter-revolutionary force. I mean, it's the force of special interests that have been around for a long time. And Republicans will have to stand up to that.
Speaking of special interests that have been around for a long time, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting was set up in '67 under the Lyndon Johnson Great Society administration. And right now, of course, we are in the midst of this ongoing national debate about public broadcasting. I had the experience, Michael, just last week. I did pledge for my local public television station, KCET, in California. And what they do, of course, they come on to do pledge, and it's like tin cup time on public television. And, you know, you can either feed our public broadcasters, or you can turn the page. And they had put up on the teleprompter some kinds of comments that I felt uncomfortable making about the politicians are trying to take away our funding. And what is fascinating to me about this is, you well know, only 14% of the total budget for public television in this country comes from the federal government. Why is it that the system is so obsessed with this 14% of its budget? 86% comes from elsewhere. Why is there so much hand-wringing and concern and hysteria over this very small, after all, governmental sanction that they receive?
Well, I think there are two reasons. First of all, I think it is important. I mean, I think getting the federal government's blessing is important to the system, not just in terms of that 14%, but in terms of going out and saying, we are public, we are funded by the federal government.
We are the official American TV system.
That's right. And I think I think there's a feeling that all the other things they get, goodies that derive from that, would also be in jeopardy if the federal funding went, such as tax-exempt status, or their rights to certain frequencies that the FCC gave them, or simply the public perception. And I think that is the key. Public television needs to have the public perception that they are public, that they are in everybody's best interest. And I think that to that end, they are also need to pay attention to objectivity and balance.
Yeah, which is not always present on public television. I think you make a very important point, Michael, and I think you also see this with the NEA debate, which is the National Endowment for the Arts, which is so bizarre, some of it, because you look at some of these artists who get up and are absolutely hysterical, literally at times slicing their bodies and bleeding in public, and literally this has been done by performance artists to protest the horror of the government removing their grants, when these grants, if you look at them, they're $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. Now, the question here is not so much why are critics upset by this kind of grant, because it is, after all, taxpayer money and it's a principle thing, but why would an artist, in some cases very successful performance artists who make a lot of money, be so concerned about this very small portion of their income that comes from the government? Well, and I think it has to do with what you're saying, Michael, which is very much it is the imprimatur that says you are an official government-approved artist. We think you're great. We are behind you. You are public. You're not dependent on the vagaries of the marketplace. And that, I think, is something that people cherish. We're going to be back with more conversation about PBS programming and about the whole question of public television. Should the government of the United States be in the TV business? After this break, it's Michael Nedved sitting in for Rush Limbaugh, talking to Michael Pack of PBS on the EIB network.
You're listening to the EIB network.
All right, you know that Buckler non-alcoholic beer is an official sponsor of the Rush Limbaugh program, and since they've joined us, we've been receiving a lot of great feedback, and the bottom line is that Buckler is flat out a great-tasting beverage. It not just a delicious non-alcoholic brew, I mean a great-tasting beverage, period. Now, I have heard reports from all across the fruited plain. People have been ordering Bucklers instead of iced coffee or tea, and in some cases even in lieu of bottled waters and sodas and all that. Now, Buckler non-alcoholic beer is brewed by Heineken, which is the #1 imported beer in the United States. They know something about great taste. Buckler is cold, it's crisp, it's fresh, it's clean, got a consistent taste, it won't quit on you, and that's the key. You can count on the taste of Buckler, bottle after bottle. Now, for some reason, if Buckler isn't available, ask for it by name, demand it. Don't let anyone offer you another non-alcoholic beer, because you'll be disappointed. You don't want to be disappointed, you want to be pleased. Try Buckler, B-U-C-K-L-E-R.
I hear this all the time. I don't have allergies, but I want a high-filtration vacuum cleaner to cut down on dust. I'm David Orrick, manufacturer of the 8-pound Orrick Hotel Vacuum. Our Sealock hypoallergenic upright has virtually no after-dust. It's durable, lightweight, and the housing is guaranteed for 10 long years. Call me at 1-800-842-8900. I'll send you one to use for 15 days, no obligation. If you don't love it, you don't keep it. Call 1-800-842-8900 for a free brochure.
Academics Plus can help high school students score higher on the SAT. A few short weeks in their SAT prep program will help you learn the strategies needed to be successful on the verbal or math sections of the SAT. Learn how to overcome test anxiety and build your test-taking skills. Call Academics Plus, your SAT headquarters, and schedule a free SAT prep consultation. Call 735-PLUS. That's 735-7587. Academics Plus Learning Center, educating for success since 1989.
Tired of lunch on the run? Tired of boring fast food? Yeah, me too. Then come on out and relax among friends at Caitlin's Restaurant in Goldsboro. From amazing salads with homemade dressings, savory soups du jour carefully prepared, to sandwiches like our chicken cordon bleu, you'll find plenty of reasons to make every day a Caitlin's occasion. And with daily lunch specials at just $3.99, every day can be a Caitlin's occasion. Caitlin's Restaurant and Bar, 335 North Spence Avenue, Goldsboro, across from Blockbuster Video. This summer, try Razzmatazz, where family fun is #1. Fun food, fun games, and just fun for the summer. There's always something cooking at Razzy's Restaurant. Homemade pizza, ice cold Pepsi, ice cream, and more. And talk about games, Razzmatazz has loads of action-packed games. Why wait for the circus? Show off your skills and win prizes now at Razzmatazz. And call about group party package specials. Experience the razzle-dazzle this summer at Razzmatazz. Highway 70 East, Goldsboro, beside Pepsi, open daily till 8 p.m.
This season, get an inside look at area high school football each Friday night through the season on WGBR's Trophies and Tributes Coach's Corner Show. Find out who the players are, the key games, strategies, and more from the men who know Wayne County's high school football coaches. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Trophies and Tributes by Sportsman's World, 2812 Cashwell Drive, Greg Foster Insurance, East Ash Street, and Jackson & Sons in Dudley. Listen every Friday night at 6:30 on 1150 WGBR.
Not interfere with us here, Reverend Hill.
You're not learning. You're saying put the child. She's not in her grave. It's automatic.
Tonight on PBS, right after our pledge break, our special encore showing of Quilting for the 90s.
Quilting for the 90s? That damn thing better have a Dallas Cowboy logo on it. Where's my remote?
PBS. If we didn't do it, who would? Who would want to?
She's not in her grave.
Well, I love it, and I just want to tell you we're here on the EIB network where you can get your EIB tote bag by sending in your contribution to 1-800-282-2882. And just in a moment, we'll be having the three tenors for the 19,000th time. Wait a minute, wait. No, this is just my public television background speaking. We're not on public television now, not even on National People's Radio. We are on the EIB network. It's Michael Nedved sitting in for the vacationing Rush Limbaugh. And I am talking to Michael Pack of the CPB, not of the CPB, though he used to be a consultant for Corporation for Public Broadcasting. He's a PBS producer. And we are talking about the whole issue of public television. Do you think, Michael, that the culture of the United States as we know it will collapse, wither, and die if somehow the federal government gets out of the television and the arts business?
I do not. Obviously not.
What a relief!
I don't think there's anything on TV that could end that would cause a withering of American culture.
What about the Rush Limbaugh show?
Well, maybe a slight withering, but no network. I mean, I think it's hard to make a case for getting rid of a huge block of television being a net loss. But I do think that I do think there are lots of good things on public television. Sneak previews, comes to mind.
Well, thank you.
And many other good things. But there's it is not one of those things like the national defense that is one of that we know the federal government has a constitutional responsibility.
Well, see, this is, I think, one of the questions that a lot of people raise with all of this hand-wringing and craziness. Right now, it used to be that public television literally was the only way you could get certain kinds of programming. That you could, if you wanted to see an opera on TV, so you're going to get a chance to see an opera. If you wanted educational programming or historical program, now we have the History Channel, we have Bravo, we have A&E, we have American Movie Classics, which I happen to think is wonderful. But now there is, and it's a very big problem for PBS, there is all this duplicative stuff which Adam Smith's invisible hand has magically generated in the marketplace. And why should PBS, which does many of the same things, receive all kinds of advantages, not just federal funding, but tax exemption?
Right. Well,
I'm asking you. Well, you know what? Rather than ask you, let's go to the calls, and because we have a number of people who want to talk to us about this, and you were on with the two tenors, or at least two tenor baritones, Michael Pack and Michael Nedved on EIB. We're with Dot in Palatka, Florida. Palatka, what kind of name is that?
That's an Indian name.
It is. It sounds Eastern European. I mean,
no.
Sounds Latka, Florida.
Well, you might be interested to know that recently some people from here contacted some people in Palatka, Russia, and they have had several visits back and forth, and it's been most interesting.
That's true. I'm glad to hear that Sister City program is working. What's on your mind, Dot?
I love public television, and I live in North Central Florida, where I have two public television stations available to me.
Another problem. Why do you need two?
I don't know. One's in Gainesville and one's in Jacksonville, but this is
and by the way, you know why they're there. The Gainesville one grew up at the University of Florida, and the Jacksonville one grew up probably at another university. Most public TV stations grew up at They grew up at colleges or universities, and they sit there. There are 3 and 4, sometimes 5 public TV stations covering the same market. It's very inefficient. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, let me just say this. I love a lot of the things that I see on public TV. I'm an opera buff. I was a professional singer before I was married. A frustrated teacher. I am Scott English background. I love the English comedies, but my big gripe is that, well, I get tired of their saying, if we don't do it, who will? I think a lot of people would do the good stuff that they do.
Well, again,
without some of the trash that they do. Now, this is what I mean. I have children. I have grandchildren. I was sitting there one evening. These 2 women were on. One was a doctor who has supposedly done wonderful things for women's causes and women's health, blah, 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 blah. And then they openly let it be known that they are live-in lesbian lovers. For God's sake, I don't want my children and grandchildren to see something like that, and I resent their calling that family viewing.
Well, you know, again, this raises to me a bigger question, which is, what is this compulsion right now with everyone in America, particularly from the left, trying to thrust into the face of everyone else their own sexual practices? I mean, what happened to the idea of privacy? Once upon a time, people who were homosexual, it was called the love that dare not speak its name. Now it's the love that won't shut up. And we're not going to shut up because we're going to be back with more of your calls and conversation on public television and many other issues. I'm Michael Nedved here on the EIB network. We're talking with Michael Pack about issues of the popular culture and even the not so popular culture, because public television ratings are not always stratospheric, though occasionally when they do things like that wonderful Civil War series with Ken Burns or Michael Pack's upcoming series Inside the Republican Revolution, people do watch, as you will listen, when we're back after this break on EIB. Michael Nedved sitting in for the vacationing Rush Limbaugh.
Hey, there's a relatively new show on CNBC every night, 10 o'clock. It's hosted by Charles Grodin. Now, he's an actor, he's a director, producer, he's an author, and he's never done a TV show before until this, and you can tell. It's a different kind of television show. He writes the scripts, he asks the questions, and a lot of people love this show. Letterman thinks this show is great. TV Guide has celebrated the show. If you want to see a different kind of talk show, try Charles Grodin, 10 o'clock Eastern on CNBC.
This is WGBR News, Goldsboro's very own.
I'm Bill Justice with Wayne Area News. The workforce is among the concerns of the North Carolina Board of Economic Development in quarterly session in Goldsboro today. Commerce Secretary Dave Phillips indicated the big question is how to coordinate.
We have a great university system. We have a tremendous community college system. How do we tile that into our high schools? How do we set a standard in North Carolina that people have access to good training to going into jobs that they are not necessarily coming out of high school with no training? And that a lot of that's happening today. We've got an awareness of companies that they are willing to participate because they want good workers. Therefore, they are willing to get involved in the educational process. We must tie all this together.
North Carolina Commerce Secretary Dave Phillips. State Commerce Secretary Dave Phillips said in Goldsboro last night that the lawsuit in the western part of the state over incentives used to attract new industry is hurting North Carolina. Phillips said certain companies have already been scared off because they don't want to get involved in the lawsuit.
It has hurt North Carolina already. Our competitive sister states, such as Virginia and South Carolina, Georgia, the ones that we compete against every day, they're taking advantage of this, and it's already going to hurt us. And their attitude is that they're in their state members of their legislature and that their leadership are supporting them coming up with new and more innovative incentives. While here in North Carolina, we're having a hard time dealing with what we've already got, and this is really going to hurt North Carolina.
State Commerce Secretary Dave Phillips. Chief Investigator William F. Dowdy of the State Bureau of Investigation Office has advised District Attorney Donald Jacobs of Goldsboro that Jacobs correctly concluded there was not a case of perjury as alleged in two anonymous paper writings entitled Officer Voice. end quote. Dowdy said he read both anonymous writings in which it was alleged that the district attorney's office had failed to pursue a matter involving alleged perjury by a police officer because it would cause problems with his testimony in past and present cases. I'm Bill Justice with Wayne Area News, a copyrighted feature of New Age Communications.
It'll stay rather hot and muggy through tomorrow. However, a pleasant change is on the way for the weekend as a cold front comes through late in the day tomorrow. This afternoon will be hot and muggy with partly cloudy skies, highs 88 to 93. Partly cloudy tonight with lows in the upper 60s and lower 70s. Partial sunshine for tomorrow. A few afternoon thunderstorms will develop and continue into the evening, highs 88 to 93. I'm Brian Orzel in the Weather Center.
Once again, to repeat the pledge, I, Rush Limbaugh III, hereby pledge during my vacation, no matter where I am, you will be in my mind. If the president resigns, if Vince Foster's body was moved, if Bill Bradley decides to run for president and save America, I will call in and we'll talk about it. You may play this tape on the show while I'm gone. I further pledge that if O.J. Simpson confesses, if Larry King actually gets married, or if 2 or more White House staffers are indicted, these are new indictments, I will call in. This I do pledge.
Thank you, Rush. I'm inspired. I'm reassured. When I was a kid, they used to have a slogan, "Sleep well tonight. Your National Guard is awake." It's very reassuring to know that we can all sleep well, though not during the show. Rush is awake and listening and monitoring the world situation for all of us. This is Michael Nedved sitting in for the vacationing Rush Limbaugh on the EIB network, where, as you know, the phone number is 1-800-282-2882. And I'm on with Michael Pack of Public Television. Michael, you're still there.
I am. I actually want to say something to what your last caller brought up.
Please do.
I think it's only fair to say, in public television's defense, even in this, even on the EIB network, the Rush Limbaugh show, that there are some things that right now only public television will do. And I think my show is one of them. It's hard to get the kind of budget and time to do in-depth public affairs shows anywhere else. I don't think that we could have done an hour-long, 9 months in the making examination of the Republican Revolution anywhere else. And I think if public television did more of that in a balanced way without some of the egregious programs your last caller pointed to, they would have greater public support. I think one of the things that shocked people in public television during this recent crisis was that there were some people out there that didn't love them. I mean, I think they were genuinely shocked. This is one of the things that has shocked them whenever people even threaten to cut their funding. I mean, they don't see what your caller sees, and I think it's good to bring it to their attention.
Well, thank you for bringing it to our attention, and we're on now with some other callers who want to speak to both of the Michaels, Michael Pack and Michael Nedved. For instance, Jim in Peoria, Illinois. Jim, you're on EIB.
Thank you for taking my call. I'm calling about public radio and public television. We subscribe in Peoria here to both our